everybody. You have Justin and Lindsay here, back with you again for Business Back and Forth. And today we're going to be covering the joy of seeing the impact of your work. And I cannot wait to dive into this one. And I know I say that, but I just love these topics and love sitting across from Justin and just really diving into some of these things.
This is going to be one, though, that you have to ask everyone else on the team about, too, because we're really keen on taking on projects as a company that are meaningful and meaningful to us on some level. We don't just chase a quick dollar. Everything has to have a significant purpose behind it. And I'm grateful we have that leverage. So you have to remember, Lindsay, to talk to everyone about this one.
Okay. So one of the core values of your company, APG Emerging Tech, is empathy.
Mm-hmm.
How does empathy and joy intersect with one another?
That intersection of empathy and joy. So empathy explained, which I know we've talked about a lot in these podcasts, but you understand it's important to me. Empathy is that willingness to walk a mile in someone else's shoes and understand their needs, what motivates them, and what makes them feel fulfilled. So empathy is one of our core values that we infuse into every one of our decisions that we make. So the intersection of joy and empathy is when you see the look on someone's face where what you've designed for them has made their day better. They feel like they can do their job better. They can get the information they're looking for. They can transact. They can do whatever they need to do better than when you got there. To me, that translates into joy. It may not be the joy that you see in a Christmas movie on Hallmark Channel, right, with the snow falling and the singing and all of that, but it's a incremental increase in the amount of joy in whatever they were doing before. And that counts. Even if it's small amounts, over time that can build up with successive improvements to make someone feel better about their job or their day or their task or their homework or whatever they need to do. And I get a lot of fulfillment out of that. And I think that's why that remains one of our core values.
Yeah. And I mean, and I'll speak for part of the team, at least anyway, that is. I mean, that's taking that ownership and showing up to work and being excited about what we do.
Yes, totally.
So I've seen firsthand some of the project work APG has undertaken in the past few years. I'd like to talk through a few of those. So let's start with the one I know very well, which is Capital Choice Financial Services, which is a company that I worked with for 8 years before I left the company. So what did the firm do for them exactly?
All right. So technically, APG Emerging Tech has helped Capital Choice with a web-based application that I helped design and build way before APG Emerging Tech even existed. So when I was with a smaller consulting firm that was a bit more of a startup years ago, I had friendships with the people who were senior leaders at Capital Choice. And they came to me with my favorite phrase, I think we need a mobile app. And so I sat down and talked with them and said, tell me more. Why do you think you need a mobile app? And they explained what they needed. And the cool thing is they were on the right track, but they didn't really need a mobile app. They needed a web-based application that would form this cool client profile of the customers they were serving. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. But just tactically speaking and making sure all of our T's are crossed and I's are dotted, I did that in a past role, helped with the building of this application. And today as APG Emerging Tech, once I founded this company, they came with us and said, we want to continue working with you all, you, Justin, and the new team that you've built to grow and maintain this application. So here's what this application did. So Capital Choice is a business. You know this way better than I do, Lindsay, because you worked there. They are in the term life insurance business fundamentally, but part of the way they sell insurance is to have a financial wellness conversation with families. Those brokers who are out in the field representing the insurance product sits down with a family and says, tell me about your financial situation. What are your goals from a saving perspective? What are you trying to accomplish? And so they were doing this on paper and in spreadsheets, and they knew we've got to make this more high tech. This is not working for us. So the system that I was part of designing helped them with collecting that information. And while they were sitting there talking with a client, capturing their income, capturing their date of birth, their goal for retirement, all of that. It was feeding into a system that ran real-time calculations that the broker could turn around their iPad or their laptop and say, here's what I'm seeing. And they could look at the screen together with their client and begin to build this profile around financial wellness. And ultimately, if term life insurance was part of the conversation, they could quote it, sell it, and get that booked all right there in the same conversation. So it was quite a tool. Bringing it back to joy, right? So when I saw this in the hands of those brokers who were out doing this conversation with folks, they loved it. They said, okay, we have finally joined the ranks. We're out of paper. We're out of spreadsheets. We have parity with the big boys out in the market who are doing this every day. And they saw it as truly a lucrative tool in their toolkit to have better conversations and build better relationships with their customers. So that reaction meant a ton. And it was also cool because, Capital Choice is a small business based in Georgia. They're not like MetLife or something, or based in New York. To see a small family-owned business do something high-tech and pull it off and put it in the hands of hundreds of their associates, that was pretty darn cool. We felt like we had infused this lightning bolt of technological capability with a small company that otherwise didn't have anything like that. And we knew the impact that could have on their employees and the people they were serving. So that was a true feeling of joy, seeing that come to fruition. It was more than just a project and a transaction. Going and seeing and hearing these stories with them was phenomenal.
Yeah. And I will tell you, from sitting in that chair from new business and licensing, which is where I'd started out in that company, that we had agents that had been in business as long as I've been on this earth, and they could just crank out numbers and
Sure.
look at things, and they had their booklets back in the day, but again, it was paper and it was the spreadsheets and stuff. But for the next generation to come through, it was like, oh, how do I even do this? How am I gathering this information? How do I calculate this? Oh, there's formulas and all these other things. So being able to give them that advantage was huge, but it was also, I even created a profile. Let's just see what this is. And you had an option to be able to put in, here's my income. This is how much I want to save. If I actually bump this to $5 more, then I can be out of debt at this time frame versus this. If I do 100, it was like doing that sliding scale of like, oh, I can be in debt if you compounding interest and stuff. I mean, it was insane.
It was all real time. As you're putting in these numbers, very complex calculations were happening. You raise a good point. The company desired to grow, and they needed to hire more associates to go out and do more of these financial well-being conversations and to sell more term life insurance. You couldn't ask new hires to go and learn an encyclopedia worth of algorithms to calculate this stuff. The system did it for them, which freed them up to have more meaningful conversations with the clients they were in front of.
Yeah. I mean, we had a sheet. It was called a dime sheet. And it was that we would sit down and they would have them fill that out. And at that point, then you take that data in from those financial outcomes and stuff. And then that's when, like Justin said, you started doing the calculations of term life insurance.
Yes.
Which was their ultimate goal of being able to do that and helping those kind of families. So having Justin's company being able to come into that office and provide that just made it joyful for those financial advisors. I can personally say that because I know.
And they
help those families.
Capital Choice, they're a fine company and they don't need us every day, but we try to maintain that relationship with them. As a good example, not that long ago, we discovered a method to take something that was very manual as part of that system and make it very automated. We brought that to them and they said, this makes a lot of sense. Let's go ahead and build that into the system. So we with Capital Choice and any of our clients, we try to just keep an eye out for them and infuse anything that can help modernize it and be mindful of their needs.
Absolutely. So another one with a major impact is the Expire Connect app.
Yes.
Which we covered on a previous episode.
Yes, that's right.
So tell me about the joy you felt seeing the impact of this.
So this one hits close to home because I think just about every person and family can relate to it. We all need a place to get trusted information, be it about healthcare, wellness, financial well-being, personal interactions. And Aspire, as an EAP company, an employee assistance provider company, their whole business is enabling access to these sorts of resources. So the joy I felt with them was that they were so proud of what we created together in the Aspire Connect app that they were willing to partner with one of their clients, the U.S. Coast Guard, to demonstrate this to the First Lady of the United States. And they did this because this little mobile app, the little mobile app that could, had all of that content. It had assessments to see how well you're doing as a person. It has, I say it has, this is not past tense, current tense. It has all of that information. And it has an ability to talk with a counselor live on using your phone. And you can talk face to face with a counselor to talk through whatever is weighing you down. And having that ability on the go in an environment like on a Coast Guard ship is huge. And their willingness to demonstrate this to the First Lady, because so many of those things are important to her and her platform, was true joy on our end as a company. So often we build technologies in our careers in a broader sense and just hope for the best. We built it. Surely people are using it. Hope it all works out well. As a small business, we get to see this impact and we get to hear these stories and be part of that story. And I just love it. I just love it. What Aspire has done is significant today, and I think is going to propel them as a company and our brand to new levels like we haven't seen before. The Connect app, by the way, is just one part of that. They do so many other things besides mobile app. That's just one component of how they deliver their services. But this and other things in their roadmap, they're going to continue taking off like a rocket.
Yeah. And just knowing that you can get that kind of help that's in your hand.
Yes.
And knowing those resources and stuff, that's impactful.
We will never be privy to the types of conversations people may be having through that app, but just knowing how mental health is at the forefront of conversations nowadays and what people in general are working through. If we've helped one person, this whole app was a success. And I know that we've already impacted way more than one person.
Agreed. A more recent example is an app your team has designed for the healthcare industry, specifically healthcare workers on temporary assignments. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so this is an application that we've worked on throughout the current year in which this podcast was recorded. And this company is a huge healthcare company based in Georgia. And part of their work is they call it locum tenens. That's a Latin phrase in the medical field that essentially means temporary medical work happening in a location. That's the uneloquent way to translate it out of Latin. So y'all can correct me in the comments associated with this podcast. But anyway, temporary employment in the medical space is huge. So there are traveling nurses, traveling doctors. Let's say you have a medical center in South Georgia and your chief of cardiac just is retiring soon, and you need someone temporarily until you can hire that full-time chief of cardiac needs inside of that hospital. They'll hire someone on a locums assignment to come in for X number of weeks or months and execute that role. So the app we designed was all about helping those people who are on temporary assignments get better access to their current assignment and its assignment details, upcoming assignments, searching possible assignments. Let's say I'm wrapping something up in Arizona. I love Arizona this time of year. Let me see what else is in Arizona I'm qualified to do as a medical professional. I can go in and find those. Also doing timesheets and expenses and all sorts of things associated with the medical industry and also temporary assignments. This is one that we've been working on hard. It's actually in development right now. I think we'll probably circle back and have a podcast about this in 2024 once it's in the hands of these traveling medical clinicians. And I can't wait to see what happens out of this. This company is absolutely vested in the success of those medical professionals. They know how important it is to get this administrative stuff right, to free them up and allow them to really focus on what's important, which is healing people.
When you evaluate opportunities to work with companies, how much does joy play into the decision to take a company on as a client?
So joy is a factor. I'll dial it back from joy and just simply say meaningful work. If the proposition of what we're going to work on with a client looks like it will have a significant impact to that company, to its founders, to its employees, and to their customers, that's something we're willing to take on. If it is maybe just a person who has an idea for an app and they're, by day they are doing one job and at night they've had this idea, we'll always sit down and talk with them and try and steer them in the right direction. But the main thing we're looking for is that category of meaningful work. Is it making an impact? Is it helping drive revenue? Is it doing something on the up and up? And let me describe what I mean by the up and up. I don't necessarily want to help a company in the title pawn industry or something where they may be doing, let's say, gambling or something where they're just making money in a way that just doesn't feel as ethical as I wake up and hope to live out my day. And fortunately, there are tons of companies that are on the up and up and have fabulous offerings and products and services that we do work with and will work with. There are just a few over time that have crossed our radar to where we've said, no, that may not be the best fit for us. And that's okay. I'm grateful that we don't have to say yes to everything. It is sort of exclusive to work with us as a company. And that's important. We want to maintain that ability to decide what are we willing to work on. That means a lot to me as one of the founders. It also means a lot to our whole team, because I want everyone on the team to be able to go home at night and feel good about their day, be able to talk about it over the dinner table, and be proud of it when it's over.
Yeah, and I mean, and it also ties back into the core values that we have, and it just all kind of just ties in together because you want to work with the right people because it's your reputation, it's your company.
Yes.
It's again, you have to lay your head down at night knowing that you gave it your all, you felt good about it. Are there going to be bad days and good days? Of course, that's
Sure.
any company, any business, any client you work with. But you always want that up and up and just the really positive impact that you're going to end up helping people.
We are so fortunate to be based in Georgia and specifically near Atlanta. When you think about the list of companies in Atlanta that are on the up and up, we are delighted to work with and want to work with the companies like the Home Depot, Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, NCR, Cox Enterprises, you name it. There are so many companies doing cool things. Those are just the big ones that you drive by on the interstate and see the signs on the side of their high rises. Then you have all of the other companies underneath that are doing extremely well. And then that whole startup community coming out of Georgia. There are so many cool things going on here that we've never had an issue finding plenty of work with companies that we have an ethical alignment with.
Yeah. So I will just end with this then, that I just love it. I love that we were able to even cover just a couple of those.
Mhm.
And there's definitely more. So don't ever feel like we're leaving anybody out by no means. It was just two great examples of some things and stuff like that. And that's going to continue to grow. And I'm just going to speak it out into the universe for all of those companies in Georgia that we would love to be able to work with you guys and just being able to sit down and have those conversations, see how APG can help you guys out.
Absolutely. We want to be part of their story and experience the joy that they're going to feel by deploying something new to the market that didn't exist before. Let's help your customers. Let's help your employees do something better than they're doing it today. And I promise you're going to feel the same way we feel about these few examples we talked through today.
Yeah. Well, I feel joy going over all of these things today, and I hope that you guys have and just learned some new things about APG and how we've been able to help some companies and bring them joy as well as for ourselves.
That's right. That's how we roll.
Yeah. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.